This
Um,
conference will now be recorded.
and what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute everybody except for you, Melvin, just in case there's background noise. So let me
Okay.
do that.
Are we taking questions afterwards from anybody? Anyone?
Yeah, just because I think it'll, we'll get through kind of some of the stuff that we wanted to cover, and then we'll open up questions for anybody that may have some. So you're good with that, right?
Okay, yeah, I'm good with it.
Okay, cool. All right, so I kind of coined this conversation as the journey to making kind of $100,000 in gross income. So I kind of wanted to start at the beginning and then walk through where you are, currently in 2019. So if anybody doesn't know who you are, give me a little intro of who you are, how long you've been in real estate, so they kind of know who you are, just in case there might be some new folks in Keller
Okay.
Williams.
All right. So my name is Melvin Rose Jr. I am a member of the ALC here at Keller Williams Midlothian. I've been in business now for close to 5 years. Can you believe that? It's been close to 5 years
Crazy.
now. And if anyone wants to know how old I am, I'm 31. So I would consider myself being a young person. But I'm also, I've been in the business long enough to know a whole lot. So yeah.
Yeah.
So yep,
And
that's a little bit about me.
You were with Keller Williams before you left, and then you came back to Keller Williams. That's how I know you, right? Because I knew you in Keller Williams Glen Allen when we had an office there, and then you left and went to Exit.
No, Zip Realty. I went to Zip
That's what it
Realty.
was. Zip.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
so
then
I was originally with Keller Williams Glen Allen. That's where I initially met Drew there. I remember the first interview. So the first interview was with Kathy. Is what I had, because Kathy was a broker at Keller Williams Glen Allen, and I told Kathy, I'd never forget this. On the first day, I told Kathy I was going to be number one. and and I stayed in the office for a while. I was just trying to get my feet wet, but I think when I was there, I was kind of really just excited just to tell everyone I was a real estate agent and not doing no damn work. So
yeah,
I was just super excited with just saying, "Oh, I'm a realtor, I'm a realtor, I'm a realtor." And so, I didn't really have too much of connection there. I knew some people there, but I didn't have that much of connection there. So then I left Glen Allen, went to Zip Realty, and at Zip Realty, they provided me leads. They provided me a lot of internet leads.
like
Yeah.
1,200. I remember talking to you. I think one day you said, "Oh, I have like 1,200 leads." I'm like, 1,200.
It was 1,200 leads, but none of them worked out. So,
Yeah.
and what's crazy was I have one client from Zip Realty who's now like a client for life. I had one client that I met there that didn't buy for like another 2 years, 3 years after, and this was way past after I left Zip Realty. And then I had one client that from that whole 1,200 leads, I had one person.
Yeah.
So for the internet leads,
Those are not
it
leads.
just didn't quite work
Those
out.
are just like phone books. Yeah. Like the yellow pages would have been easier, probably.
Yeah, for real. Like seriously, it would have been a whole lot easier. And then there after that, I think I went to a Mike Ferry event because I was so determined to make it in real estate. So I flew down to Florida, went to a Mike Ferry event that was teaching about prospecting and lead generation, and then literally once I got on the plane, I think I called Kathy right before, and that's when Kathy had left Glen Allen and she had transitioned to Keller Williams Midlothian, and I called Kathy and said, "Hey, Kathy, I'm coming back."
Yeah.
And then that's when everything pretty much, took off and got started.
But that's a kind of a cool kind of segment I wanted to think about. It. You flew to a Mike Ferry event with your own money, with the plane ticket and all that. And
Yeah.
were you in real estate full time at that point?
No, I was not. I was still I was working part time at T-Mobile.
Okay.
So I was working at part time at T-Mobile for 2.5 years into my career.
Do you remember how much
trying to juggle.
stuff was? Do you remember how much that Mike Ferry stuff was as far as the trip and the cost?
It probably still cost me over total. It probably cost me over $1,000 of my own money, I believe. Because it's like a 4-day event. Yeah, it was 4 or 5 days, and
And in
I
that
think the
perspective,
event was
that's a
like
lot of money.
$600.
That's a lot of money,
Yeah,
though,
and that
right?
yeah, it was. But you have to in business, you have to invest in yourself. You have to invest in education.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you're gonna constantly, be wanting help from someone you don't really know anything. So you got to invest time and also money into educating yourself so you can be the best version of yourself that you possibly could be.
So when did you decide you wanted to become a real estate agent? Like, oh, you've been in the business 5 years, you're KW, you go to another brokerage, do Mike Ferry. Like, what is that moment where you said, hey, I want to grow up and be a real estate agent? What was that perspective for
This
you?
was my buddy. I had a buddy a long time ago at like 19. I was 19 years old. He was like, man, you should be a real estate agent. I was like, no, well, I never really thought about it. And then, as time went on, I knew at a very early age, like around like 21, I knew I didn't want to work for nobody. So I was working at Verizon. I was working at Wells Fargo, all the customer service places. And I was like, look, I need to be on my own. So I got into real estate for the typical reasons, like for freedom, money, and, and just being my own boss. So that's, everybody's reason is the same reason that I really got into the business.
Gotcha. All right. And, one of the things we're talking about is money. So I wanted to, with your permission, is talk about some of the money that you've made in this career and how it's impacted your life in a positive way. And then maybe some things that haven't gone so well. Are you comfortable talking about money?
Yeah, I'm perfectly confident. Yeah, I'm comfortable to talk about money. I love to talk about it because I think it helps everyone. So yeah, we can definitely talk about it.
Okay, cool. So one of the things I always hear with any type of training, they always like, here's your big why. What's your big why? Your why has to be connected to your goals, and then you'll have the money, right? So
Sure.
I hear that a lot in Keller Williams language, but you probably heard that before. What's your take on this quote big why, and do you believe it is connected to it? Do you think that so give me your philosophy behind that, because I know in coaching you, we've had some strong conversations around that, and I would love for you just to be authentic and give your thought on big why and how it connects to money.
It does, and my big why initially in the beginning was money. And I really wanted to make enough money to replace my income and then also to prove that I can do it, So that was really my big why in the beginning. It still is. And one of my big whys is the freedom, because the freedom allows me to do the things that I want to do in my life. I think one of the special things that I enjoy doing is going to a basketball game. Like, so if I wanted to go to
it's not like a high school basketball game.
Yeah, no, not like a high school basketball game. Like, yeah. I love to go to NBA games or like a NFL game. So
in a good seat
for me,
too.
in a great seat. Yeah. Oh yeah.
We're not in the Raptors nosebleeder section. Yeah, I get you.
No. I want to get as close as I possibly can, right? So the biggest reason, for the freedom is to do those type of things, to say, okay, a game is in 2 days. I want to be able to fly out. I want to be able to have the money in my account, fly out, go get a great seat, and then fly back the next day.
Right.
Like, and that's the type of freedom that real estate provided to me. And that's the reason why my big why is so high, is because I want to continue to have that freedom to do the things that I want to do without having to answer to anyone about it.
So when you say that, like, do you think you have an upbringing that influenced you or showed you that, or you did that with your parents? Like, where does that come from as far as your upbringing, your lifestyle? Because that's pretty specific, that freedom, and that, hey, I want to, hop on a plane and go to an NBA game and sit in the front row. Like, that's pretty clear. So what do you think would be like the perspective of where that's come from? Give me a little background on that if you can.
Yeah, well, I come from, I don't know if anyone knows, but I come from a very low income area. I come from a very poverty area. I'm actually from Petersburg, Virginia. So if you guys know, if you watch the news, of course, a lot of talk is always around Petersburg, right? Like, so I come from that area, and from that area, we don't have a lot of people who are successful or doing, that are financially off, well off financially. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. But
Yeah.
so that background came from that. So then, what initially when I got into real estate, my dad wasn't a believer, and at the time I was living with my parents, and the struggles that I went with my back and forth with my dad not believing in myself was huge. Like, I remember I went into the room and said, "Hey, Dad, like, I wanted to, make $10,000 a month," and he was like, "Well, son, if it was easy, anybody would do it." Or,
Mm-hmm.
like, he came in and asked me a question one day, like, "Well, if you hadn't sold a house in 3 or 4 years, would you still do it?" And I was like, "Yes." He was like, "Well, you're crazy." So it was, I went back and
And it's
forth with my
perspective though
dad.
for him though, right? Like he
Right.
knew what he knew. And what line of work does your dad do?
My dad is just he's a manufacturer worker, so he just works at like a plant,
Oh,
those type of jobs.
hold
So
on, I know what he does.
yeah, so what's that?
What does he do? I'm sorry, your phone cut out. Let's say it one more time. What does he do?
Oh no, he works at like a plant. So he's like a manufacturer worker, just works like at a box plant. So
Yeah, and
from his perspective,
yeah,
sorry.
that's where he's at. I was raised with a similar mindset, kind of a parent. They're hardworking people,
Right.
but they have what we call that lid or that ceiling of their financial capabilities or their, you know what I mean? So how did that impact your mindset when around money? So you have this vision of, making this kind of money. You have the positive and the negatives, the influences of the people. Did that motivate you? Did it push you down? Just being honest.
No, the conversations, and I use this stuff as fuel. I don't know if anybody else like listens to. I love Kobe Bryant or whatever and whatnot, and that's just a mama mentality. Like, you take the things that people pretty much say wrong and negative, and you write them down, and you always keep it at the top of mind to kind of almost like prove them wrong, or just prove yourself that you can actually do it, right?
Yeah.
So I knew for a fact that when I was at Keller Williams, and I was selling their houses, within the first few months, or it took me a little while to get started. I knew that agents were around me; they were killing it. Like, and I saw it. So if he didn't see it, and only people that he knew who had tried real estate, or the people around the area who tried real estate, were people trying real estate, either like working at like a plant or trying to do it. Like, they wasn't really like trying to be a successful real estate agent. They was just trying to sell real estate along with what they were trying to do. So he didn't
Yeah.
know anyone. And I was going to the office where, I was looking at Drew. At the time, Drew was selling real estate. He was doing extremely well. There's people around me that were doing extremely well in real estate. So I was, looking at some of their paychecks and like, yo, I can really do that. I just need the opportunity and the chance to do it. So that really motivated me, and it really pushed me.
Do you think that everybody's like that though? Do you think that everybody's motivated by, I love that you take that and kind of turn it into fuel, but do you think that everybody, when you have naysayers or you have people that don't see the perspective of where you're at, that lifts them up? Do you think there's people that kind of, it just depresses them or defeats them? And if you do think that, what would your advice be to those type of people?
I do think that sometimes it can bring you down, because, when you're at your weakest moment, like, only thing you're going to hear is like your dad saying what he said, right? Like, but you have to always be around and surround yourself with people who are that's doing just as good as you, or even better. You really want to be surround yourself with people who's doing better. Or if you're going to be surrounding yourself with anyone that's on the same level, just make sure then that they have the same similar mindset like you have, and you guys are going towards the same type of goals. So for me, when I came in the real estate, came over to Keller Williams Realty, and me and Ray, I had another agent here by the name of Ray Rivera. He's no longer with us at this office, but me and Ray would team up, and we would make calls. We would go out to eat. We would look at expires. I would come to his house and make calls. Like, we would just do the things together to, so we can both be successful. And he was rocking and rolling, and then slowly but surely my business started picking up, and we still talk to this day, and both of our businesses are in the same area. And it's cool because we started off, frankly, really at the same time.
Yeah. Well, and there's book after book that always talks about you're as successful as the 5 people you hang out with. And first of all, you start to go, do you want to hang out with these 5 people? And then you break it down. You're like, maybe it's 2 people, maybe it's only 3, right? So I think regardless of the industry that you're in, I love that you said that, because I think misery loves company. So you could have easily hung out with people in Petersburg or people that are in that different mindset, but you're like, no, in order for me to kind of rise and kind of raise that lane, I gotta hang out with someone of a different mindset. I thought that was good.
Yeah, because it really it truly helps you. And if you're hanging out with another agent in the office and they're down as well, you got to pick them up, and vice versa. You got to find your partner. And that's the one thing that at Zip Realty or any other brokerage, you really don't have, know. And I love our office, and our culture is amazing, but you can lean on someone at our office, even if you're feeling by yourself or you're feeling isolated just a little bit, like you don't really feel like you know anyone. Well, get to know someone, because you can work with that person. You can build your confidence. You can get started. And I think that's the key tool when first starting out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I emailed you earlier a little snapshot of your income. I don't know if you saw that on there. Yeah. I think it kind of tells a story. So if anybody doesn't know, every agent at Keller Williams has a multi-trend report. That's what it's called. And there's a line here that's agent 1099 income. So that's your gross income, and do what you need to do. And it starts back, at least what I can see, 2015 all the way to currently where you're at. And if I can share a couple of numbers, I mean, you were part-time, 2015 is where you started. You kind of had a your $3,000 in income, and then it kind of ticked up, and you broke through that ceiling of 100,000 in 2018. You beat that. That was 144% increase in what you did the previous year. So you literally doubled your business from even 2017. Did you know that you hit that 100,000? Did you know that was a goal? Did you see that as a success? What was your thought when you were like, wow, I made over $100,000 in real estate? What was that like for you? And give me kind of a breakdown on that part of the end of your year last year.
It was amazing. Of course, making that type of money, which I never, coming from the area that I come from, never thought that I would make $100,000. But it feels really good. And I think the thing that makes it feel better now is the fact that I'm reaching for $200,000. And to think like $200,000 is actually obtainable, it's like, it's amazing.
But you went 3 years earlier, $3,000 to over 100, 3 years. I mean, that's an insane jump in lifestyle. I mean, $3,000 working at T-Mobile to 100,000, so.
Yeah. And it's been a lot of moments where it's been, I felt like this wasn't maybe the right career.
Really?
Even when I went up.
Why do you think, why does that happen?
It's a natural thing. It's each and every year, and it's funny because I know Kathy was talking about this.
Yeah, we were talking about that the other day.
Yeah, like each and every year you're gonna want to get out of that business.
Yeah.
But the reality is, it's like, no, you're not gonna get out. But if you continue to stay in and stay focused, you're gonna continue to make your money. And last year, even last year when I made, the type of money that I made last year, I also had moments where I took a month or 2 off because I was not in a great place mentally. So if I was in the same mindset that I'm currently in right now, I probably could have made an extra $30,000-$40,000, which the mindset that I currently have now is like, no matter what's going on in your life, no matter if you're depressed, if you're down, if you're sad, if, something's ruining your mood, no matter what, you got to keep going, because if you do not keep going, then everything is going to stop around you. Especially your business is going to stop, and you can't afford for your business to stop. You can't afford for your mind and your mood to kind of put you down, because you simply can't afford it, because you got to keep going. You have to keep going.
The funny thing is, you say that, and I hear it, and if you're 5 years in, you got over $100,000 gross income, and it sounds like a new agent. It sounds like when you got 4 or 5 deals and they all fall apart, and it sounds like when you do an open house and no one shows up, you're like, what the hell? Maybe I should just quit this. So it's interesting. The new agent kind of has that feel, and you're 4 or 5 years in, you're making over 100, and we're like, wow, that's great. And you still have those days. I think it's important to hear, because you need to know that that's a cycle in real estate, but it just shows you have to focus on your mindset, because like you said, you potentially left 40, 50 grand on the table last year just because of that kind of month or two funk that you kind of went through. So. Yeah.
And because you got to, if there's one thing that I want anybody to take away from this call, is the fact that you have to keep going, and you have to beat the statistic, because I think the statistic is 80% of agents get out of the business within the first 3 years. You have to beat that. If you're able to beat that, you're going to be in for the long haul. Like, I remember an older lady that I met at Wells Fargo when I was talking to her when I first wanted to get into real estate, and she was a real estate agent, and she had got into real estate later on in her life and in her career. But she told me, she said, young man, if you stay in this business, it will always pay itself off. You don't ever quit, because as soon as you quit, it will never pay itself off. If you continue to keep going, it will pay itself off. And as you can see from the numbers, I don't know if anybody else can see the numbers, but as you can see from my multi.
I didn't put it up. I didn't know if you wanted me to share with the world. I'm happy to do it if you want me to show them. But
yeah, you can definitely show them. But if you keep going, and you can have the type of year that I had last year, and this year is trending for an even bigger year.
Yeah, I just think it tells a story. So let me go. I'll pull it up real quick, and some of the questions. This is what your multi-trend number looks like. The other thing is March, $27,000 in income. This like 3-4 weeks ago, right? So
3-4 weeks ago.
Up like 67% for the year. So you are on a trajectory of momentum to beat what you did last year. Would you change anything that you would do differently from the previous year? Maybe it's like keep going. Maybe it was, or you obviously I had to learn something. So.
Yeah, no, I had to learn a tough lesson, and I'm not going to go over the personal detail which happened to me, a few months back. But once I had that lesson happen, is when I was like, okay, despite what you're going through, you got to keep going.
Yeah.
So it was that. So once that had I fell forward. So once that happened, it was like, nothing's going to stop me now. Like, I have to use the stuff that kind of pisses me off, use this stuff as fuel to kind of propel me forward. Like, it's almost like rocket fuel. Like, I use it to push me forward and keep me going, because, sometimes you do want to prove people wrong, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, we don't try to do it for other people. You're doing it for yourself. But, if you had a lot of naysayers or a lot of haters or people who don't really want you to win, you got to use that as fuel to keep you going, to push you forward. Because, then they'll be calling your phone and be like, hey, Melvin, I see you doing well. Like, I know somebody that wants to buy a house. Right now, they're not believing in you yet because you haven't done it. But you will do it as long as you keep going. And then those people are going to end up giving you a call and say, hey, I know someone that can help you buy a house. So.
Yeah. So is there anything specific that you could tell us that you would do differently? Is there a strategy? Is there a lead generation source? Is there any time management? Like, what are a couple specific nuggets that you say, I learned the hard way on this and do not do this?
The biggest thing that I think that I learned is you have to find a very good lender to work with, somebody that you trust, know, and love, and you have to build a relationship with that person. And now I went to, I don't know if anybody, I could tell them this, but now I went to a 3 lender system. And with that 3 lender system, I pretty much have anybody who contacts me through social media, I pretty much send them 3 lenders and I make them call all 3 lenders. And then,
And that's
because one
because
lender
they
might say
just weren't
no,
getting
somebody,
pre-qualified. I mean, why did you come to that realization that you needed a good relationship with the lender, and you needed 3? Like, did something specific happen that just pissed you off? That's like,
yeah,
damn, I have to do that.
yeah, because you send one person to one lender and that one lender will say no. And then next thing you know, in 3 or 4 months, you look up on Facebook and that same person that you're friends with has bought a house, but they reached out to you first.
Yeah, I
Like,
remember that
so,
day.
yeah, so that was
Yeah.
kind of, that was kind of frustrating, for me. So what I did was I said, listen, I'm going to send all my people who come through Facebook or come through social media or wherever they're coming from, referrals, and I'm going to send them to 3 lenders, and I want them to apply to all 3. And then if one person might say no, one person might say yes. If you want to roll with the person that says yes, cool. If you get approved through all 3, like, you pick which one you want to go with. But I make sure I tell them that, hey, look, me and the lender are separate. Do not combine our relationship together. That's my referral. I worked with these people before to get things done. So when I went to the system, now my business has started to be even better. And then
Okay.
the second thing is you must have a great home inspector. God, I cannot stress, because the home inspector will make or break your deal. And it can possibly even make it break your deal with your buyers. I mean,
How do
with
we
your
find
relationship
that
with your
though? Like,
buyers.
there's so many home inspectors, and if you don't have a deal or if you having a first few, what's your strategy to find the good versus the bad? Or not that none of them are bad, but the good versus the preferred, I guess.
The strategy is to make sure you talk to some of the members on ALC or agents who are killing it. Talk to them about what
Who they're
home inspector they're
using.
using. Yeah, who they're
Gotcha.
using and stuff like that. Because you're going to have a lot of people reach out to you, saying, hey, look, I'm a home inspector, and then you want to use this guy, but, the way he talks to your buyer can absolutely ruin a deal for you.
Yeah, it scares them to
So
death.
once I started, yeah, it scares them to death. So once I went out to Amy and I was like, Amy Healy, and I was like, Amy, who are you using? And she was like, I'm using Home Team Home Inspections. And I was like, okay. And she was like, they have 2 or 3 people there. They work on one specific item with the house, and then they come to the end and they give a great breakdown. And they're not killing a deal for any of my people. So that's the reason why I'm able to, I think for the last few deals, I think pretty much all of my deals in March, when I presented all of my repairs, all of them got fixed. And I'm not joking. Like, and that's rare for a lot of some of the deals that I've had. Like, it'll be yes, no on a couple of items, but the home inspection team that I've used lately, when I present a repair, all of them repairs are getting fixed. So I'm
Yeah.
very grateful for that, for that lesson that I learned last year too.
Okay. So the struggles that you maybe had last year, even though you had a great year,
Right.
do you have the same struggles today, or have you set up any new systems? Obviously, you mentioned the lender and the home inspector, because you're on a trajectory to beat last year's number, which is huge. You shared with us your goal is to hit over 200, and it looks like from a percentage standpoint, you're definitely heading in that direction. Do you still struggle with the same stuff?
No. I mean,
No.
not the same stuff that I had from the year previous or the year before that in 2017. I'm
So
kind
how
of,
does it
it's
change? What happens?
sometimes, you have to analyze, you have to sit back and you have to review and analyze your business each and every year and what you can change and what you can make better. And sometimes you need to do it on a quarterly basis. Sometimes you got to do it every few weeks. But I was able to, look overall at my business, and at the end of the year, last year or in 2018, I pulled up my multi-year trend report, and I was like, "Whoa, hold on! I took off a couple of months, and I still made over 100 grand. What if I didn't take off those couple of months? What would my business look like, and how can I make my business better?" So one thing that I've done now is hire someone to go through and manage my Facebook Messenger because I receive a lot of leads from Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So I hire somebody to manage that. Now we set up all my buyer consultations are via FaceTime or Facebook Messenger. So I rarely have someone cancel on me when it comes to that. This also has been working extremely great.
Yeah. It's face to face, but it's
And
not driving and saving time, gas, money, all that. Good idea.
saving time, money, gas on all of that. And then what I also find is that if you want to, if you have a buyer that's willing to meet you at Panera or Starbucks, they are likely to cancel because they don't feel like driving. If somebody's at home, they can sit at home, be on FaceTime, and they can take notes from home. It's convenient, and I go through my buyer consultation right on the phone. And I don't have to show them the presentation directly, but I go over the presentation with them. They're taking notes. And then after that, I set them up on a home search. And then after that, I send them the lenders. And then they call all the lenders that I recommended to them.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I know you and I have talked about, and I know you were like, oh, you're off some questions off script, but we've kind of talked about the listings versus the buy. So I want your completely honest opinion. So I know you'll give it to me. When we talk about listings, when we talk about buyers, we generally always kind of say, hey, you need to get some listings. We always believe in those 3 L's: listing, leads, leverage. But you're strong on buyers. That's kind of your strength. That's where you hang your hat on as far as your data shows. Is that intentional? Is that not intentional? How does that compare to what your business is doing? What's your opinion on that?
It's definitely intentional, and it's intentional for me because of social media. So a lot of my leads, because a lot of my leads, well, my 3 lead sources are social media first, open houses second, and referrals third. And that has changed over the last couple of years too. Your business is definitely going to change. So those are my 3 lead sources. So for social media, when I help a young family or just help a family buy a house, and then they're taking a picture of the sold sign right in front, it just shows, for one, it shows that I'm doing work. 2, it goes out to all of their friends and family who they're friends with on Facebook because they're tagging it. And 3, it just improves. It'll have someone actually send you a message that you're friends with, and they send you messages all the time. Say, hey, oh my God, you just helped my friend buy a house. I'm struggling with this. I would like to buy a house pretty soon. How can you help me? And now, then that leads into something. So my business it's not listing leads leverage, it's not listing leads leverage. It's really buyers leads leverage, So it's all of those 3 pillars, because the buyers are going to give me leverage to get, the sale of a buyer is going to give me more leverage to promote. And once I'm promoting more, then I have more people coming to me. It's like,
and that's intentional though. If you really look at the traditional buyer model, it's a secret. Nobody really knows, but you are very intentional with social media, letting your quote database, which you use social media as a platform for it, to let them know you're not just sitting on your butt, not working. Mm-hmm. So I think it's intentional. It definitely is leads leverage, because the leverage is using social media, you now have someone that manages kind of the back end of it a little bit. So yeah, no, I think the reason why I bring that up is because, we have systems and models at Keller Williams, but you do have to be authentic to who you are. You do have to find your niche. And I think you show that you can peel the onion a different way and still have success. And you kind of figure that out on your own with that.
Because people are going to buy from people who they like, know, and trust, right? But for me on Facebook, they'd like, know, and trust me all from Facebook. They never met me in person.
Yeah,
so the videos, the photos the photos, the videos and stuff that I post, that's getting people to know and like me, and they trust that I can get a job done because they just saw their friend get a house. Right? That's how it works for me. That's why videos are, and once I've done videos, but I need to do more of them. But that's the reason how people are knowing, liking, and trusting me, because of just what I'm posting on social media.
Yeah.
But then you go out to open houses, and that's my second lead source. It's like when I go out to an open house and I work on open house, yeah, sometimes I might not get someone, and then sometimes, I do. And when I do, I try to do everything that I can to try to help that person out and make sure that they know that I'm here for them.
Yeah.
And that's how I really started building my business from open houses.
Yeah. So you have momentum. So I had 2 questions left on my list, and then I'll open it up to anybody who has some questions. So if you guys have questions, jot those down, and I'll turn it on so people can talk. We talked about a little bit of momentum in 2019. Is there do you attribute it to that you hired somebody to help with Messenger? Or what do you attribute your momentum? So because you're up for the year so far, so you're rolling, you truly have momentum. What do you attribute it to?
For the lesson that I learned last year, and that was to keep going.
Interesting.
So yeah, so that was it was my mindset. Just working on my mindset.
I called the 2 months was the Melvin blackout moments. So I wouldn't hear from you receive for a month. So you're saying you're not going to have those anymore. Those are in the past.
No, those are completely behind me, because I had to work on my mindset so that I know that I can. For one, I can do this. 2, it's I know that I had to keep going. So it was really those things that gave me some great momentum, and also what's helping me is a person who's managing my Facebook Messenger. But if she wasn't there, I still would probably, I'd still be really pushing it on my own, because I know I can't stop. And then another thing too, I don't know if anybody knows this, but I'm ready to get married in May of 2020.
Yes, you are.
So
and you're not eloping either. You're having a very robust wedding. So
yeah, I'm having a very nice wedding. So I had to also pay for that. So that's also keeping me going too.
So I always like to end before I open it up is, we talk about the past, we talk about where you came from, we talk about your current business, but always important to push forward and see yourself further along. I mean, it took you 4 years to go from $3,000 in income up to over $100,000. That's in a 4-year period of time. So what's 4 years later? What's 4 years later look like for you from a financial standpoint? Maybe family, mindset, weird, because you've done so much in 4 years, which seems like such a snap in time. What's 4 years in the future look like for you? Kind of paint that picture for me.
4 years in the future pretty much looks like everything okay over there? 4 things in the future looks like just continue to keep this momentum going, continue to make this trend happen, and then start investing in different areas. So investing in stocks, investing in also in real estate myself, and just continuing to be independent and having more passive income coming in while I'm out here still, trying to kill it in real estate. Of course, one of the biggest things I would like to have is a team. So having a team here in Richmond, and then eventually starting a team in Atlanta, because I always wanted my real estate license. Yeah, I've always wanted my real estate license in Atlanta. So just doing those 2 things would be key, and helping and continue to help and continue to train agents, whether they're on my team or not on my team, just continue to be a resource.
Awesome.
Because, my story can definitely help out, another person.
So I'm going to open it up, but is there anything that I didn't ask that I should have asked? Is there something that you wanted to say to make this kind of valuable for you, for the people that you're looking to mentor, that I didn't cover today?
No, not. I mean, well, the biggest thing that I just want to mention is, continue to listen to the people like Drew. Continue to listen to people who've been there. I remember a very important conversation that I had with Cassie, and I was considering joining a team at the time, and Cassie was like, "Hey, well, if you work open houses and you pick up 2 leads per open house, you will make your money." And she didn't lie about that.
Yep.
So
it seems simple, and yet it happened. Yeah.
Yeah, and it happened. Like, it's literally how I really got started with my business. So just do that. If you don't know anyone, you don't have a large database, you don't have a large sphere of people that you know, you're gonna have to milk open houses,
Yep.
and you got to use that as leverage to go get more business and then pick up
Yep.
more referrals. So that's the only thing that I want somebody to know, really.
Sure. Well, I have turned the mics on, so if anybody else had any questions, we probably don't know. We have a lot of people on here, so if you have a question, just say your name because we probably don't recognize the voice, and then go for it, and Melvin will answer the question. Anybody got one?
Hey, I've got a question. This is Deanna.
Hey.
Deanna, what up?
Melvin, I joined the call late, so you may have already answered this. And if you have, you can laugh at me hysterically and say, go back and listen to the recording, girlfriend.
I won't.
Which I will be doing no matter what. But give us a mindset tip for the really hard days. And here's what I'm talking about. You just shared that it's a 4-year journey from nothing to where you are today, which is like fantastic to hear. And that is enough to like keep me pumped up. The other, pick your thing, if it's open houses or whatever, and do it. And you will have your return. But on the hard days, when you're walking out of an open house and you had nothing, nobody came, you did your door knocks and nobody answered, or you didn't get any leads or anything from that.
Deanna's painting a picture, but we've all seen that picture before.
I mean, that's the thing is every single person has had that, okay? And you did all the stuff.
What's your thing?
You put out your balloons, you did your thing, you're at the open house, you're all excited, you bake the cookies, and either nobody comes, nobody comes, or everybody's represented, or you got one neighbor that truly is never going to work with anybody, is just walking around, whatever. So you got nothing, or no one came. Like really, nobody knocked on the door, nobody came. So now you put all your stuff in the car. How do you get up again on Monday morning?
You can't let that defeat you in this business. Because for one, and I know it's the cliche thing, and it drives me nuts, especially it drove me nuts in the beginning of my business, it's a numbers game. And I hate hearing that, and it drives me, like, just thinking about it, I'm over here, like, rubbing my head right now. Like, just, seriously, it drives me nuts, but it's the truth. Like, you have to, if you had no one that showed up, it's a difficult day for you. You made calls, nobody answered. You have to keep going. I remember I had one coach post Drew who said that you have to go for no. Sometimes it's better to go for no. Because if you go for no, if you hear no 20 times in one day, you've done your job. Because now you've reached those contacts that were needed. But then what's going to happen is eventually someone's going to say yes, and then you have to take advantage of that. So on the tough days, just know that, hey, look, if I go for no 20 times, I'm okay. Like, I've done my job for the day because I've heard no 20 times. But when one person says yes, you gotta take advantage of that yes. But also, when you hear that yes on that phone call, you still gotta go. You gotta keep going, and you gotta get more because it's a numbers thing. So on the tough days,
because I think you've got to go for the no. I think that's so huge. We focus on wanting the yeses, but the no's actually get us to the yes. So the crappy open house,
get us to the yes.
You still did the Facebook post, you still did everything. How do you know that somebody didn't see that Facebook post and then call you 2 weeks later, or didn't see a sign? You don't know what you don't know, right? So I think that was
like you never know what's going to walk through that open house. And I kind of switch it just a little bit now, and I don't recommend everybody do this, but the higher the price point, the nicer the people sometimes. So it's like when that higher the price point, like I just worked at open house in my listing that I have out in Night News Way, and yeah, everybody's, people are coming in and people may not be interested, but one buyer did come in and she was slightly interested, but she didn't work with an agent. So then I took advantage of that opportunity. Now she's looking for a $700,000 house off of an open house.
Yeah.
Like, a $700,000 house at 100% commission when you cap, that's like what, 20 grand?
Yeah, it's
off of one house.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's
right.
20 grand
and
off of one house. So
yeah.
Anybody else have another question before we hop off? Anybody have anything pressing they wanted to ask Melvin?
And Drew, how fast will this be up on your site?
It's probably downloaded, probably 15 minutes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Anybody else have
ask me questions?
Yeah, any questions specific?
Don't be afraid. Like, I'm super here.
Yeah, I think I just love the transparency that that you have. I think the perseverance, I think that's the one thing that is the hardest to articulate, is that which I wrote down pages of notes, is just keep going, go for it. You want that independence, beat the statistics. I got all that written down. And I think that, me, I love mindset when it comes to that. And yet I think this business, it struggles because you have so many no's, and you have roller coaster deals that fall apart. And I think that proves with the lender and the home inspector that it's not for the faint of heart, though. You're 4 years in,
No.
You got years and years and years to go. And you said at the kind of near the beginning of the call, you still want to quit the real estate business, right? So
sometimes it's like you're gonna have that one deal that you needed that fell apart, but you have to. And Drew always preached this too. Like, the magic happens in that third. And I know you guys probably don't. You're just trying to get the 1 to 2 deals, right? But the magic happens at that third or fourth deal. So you have to have the stuff in your pipeline. You have to have the clients in your pipeline. You got to go out there and meet. You got to shake hands, kiss babies, to have those people in your pipeline so that the third and fourth deal can happen, or the second deal to happen. Because if one deal falls apart, then you still have 2 or 3 more. But if you only have one deal that month and you have to pay the bills, and that one deal fell apart, you're defeated and you're crushed. And trust me, everyone, I have been there. I have been there with no money, showing houses where, how you had that super lockbox, how you have your super lockbox key?
Yeah.
And it's $18, and you go up and you hit the update button and it doesn't update because you don't have no money in your account. I've been there.
Yeah.
like seriously, I've been there. So you just have to keep going to make the money, to keep your dreams, keep your eyes on the prize, because this will happen for you. Don't quit. No matter how hard it gets, fine. If you need to borrow some money from somewhere, go borrow it. But just keep going, because this thing will work out for you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Melvin. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your honesty and letting me share your money out there, as I know that's not everyone's comfortable doing it. But proud of you, and I'm glad you're part of our office. Do so many great things for all of us. So awesome,
I appreciate
guys.
it. Thank you, guys.
I will hang up now. I'll turn this recording off and I'll flip it open and I'll put it on the Facebook page and then I'll email it out. But I appreciate the call and have a great day, guys.
You guys have an amazing day. Thank you.
Bye.